What I wasn't expecting was gunners on Zoom being so intense. They're real, they exist, and they waste like 30 minutes of the class.
All right, hi y'all, it's Kay Yvonne here. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, subscribe. Today I am super excited because your girl is back with another Your Favorite Legal YouTuber series. Hey! I invited your 1L legal YouTubers. Yes, the ones that you stalk for their vlogs. Yes, the ones that you try to get law school advice from. So, let's meet today's cast. Welcome back to my channel. It's Kay Yvonne here. I am super excited today. I am with your 1L YouTubers who are currently in law school online. Woo, crazy, but we're here to talk to you to share their experiences and give advice and tips if you are currently in law school today.
Hello, I'm Madison. My YouTube is Madison Rector, and I'm so excited for this, first of all. But I'm a 1L at Washington University in St. Louis.
Hi guys, I'm Bex, or Rebecca, whichever. My YouTube channel is called Bex, B-E-X, and I'm a 1L at Emory Law.
Hi everybody, my name is Bria Renee Smith. My YouTube is also Bria Renee Smith. I am a 1L evening student at Temple University Beasley School of Law in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania.
I'm Taylor. My YouTube channel is Taylor K, and I am a 1L at Washington University School of Law in St. Louis.
Wait, hold up. I'm gonna You're in my class?
I think so, yeah.
Hey, girl. Okay, we gotta connect after this. That is crazy. Okay. I'm good. You're just having a mini freak out. That's awesome. Okay.
That's actually really cool.
Hi, so my name is Caroline. It's really great to meet all of you. My YouTube channel is just Caroline Chan, which is my name, and I'm currently a 1L at the University of Michigan School of Law.
Yeah, so I'm Latasia. My YouTube is Life with Latasia. I'm a 1L at UCLA right now, and I'm in Los Angeles.
Hi, I'm Zakira. I am a 1L at Liberty University School of Law, and my YouTube channel is simply by Tay.
This is how I'm going to start it off today. I'm going to ask you this question, and you can be honest. Like, it doesn't have to be a positive answer. It can be negative if you're feeling negative about it. If you guys could use one word to describe your 1L experience so far, what would that word be? And anyone can begin. Just feel free. How are you feeling? Come on, guys. How are you feeling? Don't make me cold call. Like, I know y'all want me to cold call.
Okay, I'll jump in before you cold call me because that's my nightmare. I will say overwhelming.
Okay.
That's a good one. I would say it's different. It's just different than what I thought it would be. Different.
I think my word is busy.
Mine is just a lot. It's just a lot. It's a lot to take in.
I think mine is unbalanced.
And unbalanced. I like that one, Bex, because it's just a lot. I'm an evening student, so school during the day because I work in education, and then school at night is just like, how am I supposed to do this? I don't know.
Say my word is challenging. Kind of like what Bria said, just balancing everything. I'm not an evening student, but it is a lot to balance, like readings, especially coming straight from undergrad, figuring all of that out.
Okay, so you guys obviously are feeling different emotions, and I guess I wanted to really tap into how you guys are feeling. Like, when you started your first week of law school, like, what emotions were you feeling? Like, people need to know because, like I said, a lot of times people feel like they're alone. So what were you feeling? Be honest.
Yeah, so
Okay.
I've always wanted to go to law school, and my first week, I had a few mental breakdowns, and it actually really made me question if I was in the right place. I was actually sitting in my bed staring at the ceiling, like, did I make the complete wrong choice? But I'm feeling better now, but definitely during the first week, there was a lot of questioning my choices.
I don't know. I think like I was like super stressed. I'm definitely tired. Like I feel like you're always doing something. Like if I'm not reading, I'm in class. If I'm not in class, I'm trying to sleep and not being able to sleep because I'm thinking about everything I have to do tomorrow. So I just feel like your brain's like constantly going like all day. And I think that in itself can be draining because like even when you need to relax, you can't relax because you're thinking about everything you need to be doing. So I think that's something people need to be prepared for. I would say definitely like work on your mental health, try to have some type of fun. I know we're in a pandemic. Hopefully when you guys are applying next year, we won't be in a pandemic. But
Fingers
yeah,
crossed.
I know, hopefully, but yeah, just like try to find some type of like fun, some type of like something to like relieve stress before you start school.
I don't know how your school is structured, but ours is like 80% online and we have class in person. And so obviously starting law school is like terrifying enough as it is, but when you're doing it in a pandemic where it's hard to kind of meet people, it's hard to like socialize, it can be extra isolating. So I felt like in the first class, just I'm just seeing everyone on Zoom, right? Like, and then the class ends and I have no one to talk to afterwards. Like I have no one to kind of be like, oh my God, that was so hard. And I felt that was extremely isolating and makes the whole process like a little scarier.
Yeah. I think for me, it got better as the first week and as the second week have gone on. Like it's gotten better as it's gone on. So as time went on, like I finished the first couple of classes and I was like, oh gosh, I was not ready for this at all. And then I guess as time has gone on, it's been like, okay, I can do this. Like we're okay. So I think it's gotten better with time.
What is something you didn't expect going into law school? Like something I was like, whoa, like what is this?
So what I wasn't expecting was gunners on Zoom being so intense. They're real, they exist, and they waste like 30 minutes of the class, like every class. Every single time I don't want to like expose this person, so I'm not going to, but 20 minutes of every single class. So my advice is if somebody is going off track with these hypotheticals for 20 minutes and it is confusing you more than it's helping you, the best thing about Zoom is you can just mute it.
Whoa.
When this guy is going off, I just turn off the volume and I'm like, whenever he's done, I'll come back on because this is not helping me. So
honestly, Madison, that is a key because when you're in class, you can't mute. You can't mute no one. You're just like, what's happening? Has anyone been cold called yet? Or you got some great cold call stories of people being cold called and they're like,
Yep. I made the mistake of my one in-person class, one day a week. I sat in the front row and I was the only person in the front row and I was the very first person to get cold called. And I was like, I signed myself up for this. I did this to myself. So.
What class was it?
Property.
Ooh. How'd it go though? Was it like, I did it?
Not bad actually. She finished with me and moved on to the next person. I was like, I didn't bomb that as much as I could have, and I'll take it.
Okay, so she doesn't stay on you the whole time.
It wasn't the entire class. It was like, I think the first probably 20 minutes and then moved on.
Anyone else?
I was also co-taught on my first day, like first person, first class.
What?
I don't know what it was. And then my second class that day, I was co-taught again. And so I was like, wow, we're really starting in the deep end here. But then I haven't been co-taught since, which is nice.
Like I went to all these little boot camp things over the summer and they told you like, put things in your own words to make them make sense to you and do all these different things. So that was what I was doing. And the first week of school, the orientation week, we got our readings, our stuff for our reading. So I didn't have to work. So I was like, I'm just going to get ahead and do all of that. So the day the class came, I had read that material like maybe 10 days ago at that point. And I'm like, she asks me like the most simple question, like, what are the facts of the case? And I'm looking at my notes like, I just put all this in my own words. I can't even tell you like anything that like remotely close to what was going on. It was like such a simple question. I'm just like, yeah, I don't even remember this. I read this like 10 days ago. Like I read like 15 cases between then and now. I'm not doing that anymore. So I learned from that.
Those cases be blending. I'm like,
Don't read too far ahead.
I learned that as well. I learned that same exact thing because I tried to be cute and be ahead, and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna have it all by the time class starts. And if you don't, especially if you don't review before class, like even if it's like 15 minutes, just like open your notes and be like, okay, what did I just read? You know what I mean? So that you're not getting things confused. Like if you don't do that, you will sit there and like you said, it'll be the simplest things. And you're just like, have I even read a casebook?
Right, like, but I knew that. I read that. I remember all of this when you started saying it back, but like for me, it was rough. That was my first cold call. I haven't been called on since, but I'm ready now.
Kind of weird though, because since we're on Zoom, people volunteer so much, they don't cold call a lot. Like everybody wants to talk in my classes. Like everybody wants to talk. The entire class. It's kind of funny. But so I have one professor, he actually sends out like a list and tells you what day you'll be called on. So it was like my day. Like we met before class. He was like, do you have any questions? Are you good to go? I'm like, yeah, I'm good. No worries. And then he asked me my first question in class. I'm like, okay, did good on that one. And then he asked me another question. I'm like, this is not on the list of questions you said. And he worded it different. I was like, that's not what I thought you were going to ask me. Can you ask somebody else? And he was just like, he was like, oh, so you want me to come back to you? I said, yes, please. I was just like, I'm not about to be asked. I don't know what you're asking me.
Yeah.
So, hey, I didn't feel bad. I did for like 10 minutes and then I got over it. But
listen, when I say you start off like wanting to be prepared for your cold call, or you're, you know, you want to look like you know what you're talking about. I tell you, come second year, come third year, I remember I would just tell the professor, yeah, I didn't read. Just straight like that. I'm like, I didn't read, go to the next person. And there's just nothing. And I remember my professor always saying, he was like, I just love 1Ls because they're always prepared, when you get 2Ls and 3Ls, they don't even want to engage. They don't even look at you. Well, they brush you off when you call them for cold call. So I say all this to say it gets better. That's the point I'm making. It does get better. Oh yeah. What was orientation week like? What does that look like? Was it the same like the student fair Zoom meetings, or did you actually go in person?
Orientation is not like undergrad orientation where the RAs are singing songs and you're all eating ice cream and it's like, welcome to college. Like it is not like that. Mine was also a mix of in-person and online. So they like sent out the whole itinerary for us, so like the Zoom links beforehand and then things that you would do at school, and it was not like that. It was just information. It was like career services, academic services. This is how you're gonna get your work done. This is how you're gonna try and find a job. Like this is what you're here for, and this is how you're gonna do it essentially. And like, I'm sorry, but like it's like it was not fun. That's just like that. It was cool, like as in you're like all hype. It's like you've got the excitement and everything. You're meeting people finally, and like that's probably the most fun part about it. But it's not like welcome to law school. Like we're so happy like let's get into these case books. Like no, it was like, do you want a job or not? Like, and I was just like, okay.
Yeah, so our orientation was actually 2 weeks. So like they kind of like integrated like the typical stuff like career services and things like that. And then we also had like a mini Barbary torts class just to kind of like go over case briefing and reading and like what cold calling and stuff like that would be like. So it was helpful, but it also was a little stressful because we basically had to take a class, prepare for an exam and all that stuff before we even got to the first day. And like, it was nice to kind of like understand torts before we got to that first day of torts, but like, we're not even on the topics that we were going over in Barbary for torts right now. So it's like, I don't know, like I'm like, we went through all of that work and we couldn't really put a lot of it to use, but it was nice to kind of do the case briefs and stuff. I would agree that orientation was not fun. Like, I remember when I was an undergrad, I came and my RA like gave me a hug and was like, "Oh my gosh, I'm so glad you're here." And like that did not happen at all. So yeah, orientation, law school is a lot different.
I'll also just say we got quizzed on the the conduct handbook. So if that says anything about what our orientation was like, I had a pre-orientation. How do you get pre-oriented? Like, I don't understand. I don't know what I'm doing.
Did you guys have to do like the swear-in thing at the end of your orientation where you do like you promise to do like your ethical and stuff? And so that was all online for us, right? And so we had one like the lady was like reading it off and she's like, just repeat after me. But she would say like this whole chunk of words and then give us like 20 seconds to try to repeat it back. And then she just kept going. So I feel like my class would not be very ethical because we did not swear in at all. We had made no promises.
We had one in-person day, the first day where we got our materials like our like t-shirt, water bottle, temple mask, and all of that, and we did our pledge thing that day. But we did do like a miniature class throughout orientation to orient us to how law school would work, like how to brief a case, how to read a case, and do all of the pieces and everything. So that was good. Like I've been saying, like I did a bunch of boot camps over the summer, and I feel like if the orientation that I received was my only orientation to law school, I wouldn't have felt prepared. So I don't think it like did everything that I would have wanted it to do, but I'm glad I was able to get it from other places.
We had 1L week, like a week where they like prepare you, and then we had a 2-day orientation. So we had like, I guess it's kind of different, but like the 1L week was like one professor on everything was on Zoom, but she like took us through like it was pretty much like a mini torts class. So
I want to know, like, well, how are you guys even? Again, this is ignorance because I just didn't have law school online. How are you guys even socializing like with your classmates or your peers? Like, is that a thing, or like, do you guys have like virtual? I don't know, coffee hours or whatever. I don't know. Like, what do you do to talk to your classmates?
So UCLA had a virtual student org fair. I don't know if you guys had that. Yeah, it was like a virtual fair. So you just like went from Zoom to Zoom. Like they gave you Zoom links for every single, they gave you Zoom links for every single organization. And you just went to the Zoom and said, hi, I'm so-and-so. Bye. Went to the next Zoom. So like we did that. As far as like study groups and stuff though, like I've still been meeting in person with someone. Like I found like 1 or 2 people to study with. So I think that's a personal preference and also depending on where you're located. But I kind of have just been like, I need to study in person. So I've been taking a chance, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, my school's been putting on some like meetups in like on a field basically. So we're all like standing with these little orange field day flags 6 feet apart from each other, which yeah, there's definitely a level of difficulty to communicating with people in a giant circle with masks on while someone's trying to mow the lawn next to you. So, but it's been okay. Like I've been able to meet some people through that. So it's nice that they've been putting in an effort to make it possible to meet up with people.
Right. I had my first study group this morning via Google Meet, and we had a BOLSA meetup on Friday night, and we did like a scavenger hunt. It was really fun. So we got into breakout rooms, and they had us go find certain stuff in our house, and like you earn points. And because they're not doing normal in-person meetups where they would spend money on like food for something, we're getting a prize, like the winning group. So it's pretty cool.
I'm gonna say I'm actually living on res right now. Like I decided to move into res, and so like I would say 50% of my class, no wait, like 60% of my class are actually here in person. So we've been able to like sit outside in like socially distant circles and kind of meet each other a little bit. And like we've been like sitting outside and drinking and like kind of yelling at each other like 6 feet apart with masks on. But it's like we're trying our best to make, and our library's open, like we can reserve spots. So we're trying our best. But it's definitely harder to communicate when you're like wearing a mask and then sitting like kind of far apart from each other.
I actually am roommates with a law student, so that was like an automatic person for me to kind of like socialize with and hang out, and we get along really well, which is also a plus because we haven't met each other like before law school. So we are open, like our library is open, so I've met some people kind of like at my Carol and stuff like that. But it is still kind of difficult because even professors that do come, we're not necessarily allowed to like talk with them in class because they can't stay for a super long time because they have to like clean everything down, wipe stuff down, and things like that. And most of the stuff is like on Teams, like kind of how everyone was saying, like Teams or Zoom. So it is a little more difficult to socialize with professors or students.
Caroline, since you said 80% is online and 20% is offline, can you explain to me what that looks like? Because to me, I was fully involved in a school setting, so I don't even know what 20% would be.
Okay, so I think I did the math wrong. It's more like 75-25. So I have 4 classes this semester. 3 of them are all on Zoom, and then 1 of them is in person at the law school, but it's like socially distanced. So they've like blocked off seats for everyone to sit at. And so yeah, so 3 classes are all on Zoom and then 1 class in person.
Mine's close to that, but so I've got 5 classes and all of them, it's all online with the exception of 1 class 1 day a week. So 2 out of the 3 days I'm in that class, it's virtual, and then only 1 day is actually at the school.
So I'm fully online. Like I don't go to the school at all. So all 4 of my classes are online.
Mine is the same situation. There's 2 classes that are fully online, and then the other 3 classes that I take, I will have 1 day a week where I go into that class in person, and then the rest will be online for the rest of the week.
So mine, we're technically all in person, but we do have online as well. So it's like a hybrid, which is pretty interesting. So I'm online right now, but before we were like in class, socially distanced. Being that our class is big, but they have a lot of rooms and the other classes are small, they kind of like just created more sections. So some professors actually come in and like do a face-to-face, but other professors have like Zoom. So they'll just like be on Zoom and then the students like watch it from there. Or we can just stay home and watch it like that. Yeah.
So at Temple, it's a little different. So our day program had a full-time day in person, and the night program was in person, and everybody had legal research and writing online. That's how we started off. But you had the option to do fully online, and I chose fully online because I said, this is a pandemic. They put us all in person so they can take our tuition and then put us back online. I'm not going to be having to like switch my schedule. Like I wanted to start and be consistent with the schedule, so I'm going to start online. The first week they did that model. This week was the second week, and we're all online. So I like it now that everybody's online because it was a lot harder to hear. Like you said, Zakira, like somebody, they're in person, they're on Zoom, and then you can like see them. It was really hard to hear the class discussion because everybody has on masks. And it was like, so I hear the teacher and then I can't hear the answer, and they're just like, correct. And I'm like, what's correct? What?
Yeah. That's actually interesting that you talk about that because of the fact that a lot of these teachers are old, they've assigned TAs, which I guess is not really like a common thing, I guess, in law school, which like in undergrad, I had a TA for every class, but in law school, I guess, or at least at Emory, they're saying like it's not very common for that, but they have been assigning TAs to these professors because without them, we probably wouldn't even have the class, like especially for when we're on Zoom, there, like you were saying, there are people that are in person. So it just rotates. Like the professors are always in person, but it's just that there's like a camera in the back of the classroom filming the class as it's going. And then they'll be participating in discussions and then you can't hear them. So what one of the TAs has to do now is like, she's like moderating the class while the professor is teaching. She's making sure that like when someone is answering a question, they unmute their laptop. So everybody's technically on Zoom at the same time. They unmute their laptop, they give their answer. Then the professor has to mute his thing so that there's no feedback. It's just a whole like, so, I mean, the TAs are doing a good job, like props to them for, taking like this sort of like technology aspect of all of it. But it's been weird because that was the only way that you can hear what other people are saying. No, I was just going to say, so I'm in Atlanta and Piedmont Park is really huge. So there's a lot of space for us to kind of spread out. So I've met up with like people from Bulsa, the 1Ls in Bulsa, and we just wanted to kind of like get to know each other. that was probably like the main, like the first connection I had with any 1L students at Emory. We have like a big group me. I feel like most schools probably have that because, you know, when you get admitted, then you do the Facebook page and the group me and all of that. So I think people have been making friendships through there. It's just hard to make like real organic friendships online and like not have it feel forced, you know. I feel like people, we're just, this generation, we're like awkward sometimes. We don't know how to really, but you know, like, and that's the other thing too. It's like, it's hard to kind of put yourself out there as well when, you know, law school is also like a mix of people. It's, there are some people who have full families with children, you know, and then there are some people who are not even 21 yet. So it's like, it's so different now that you're like, okay, trying to see like, what are people's Instagrams, trying to like find them online, find them on Facebook, like where are all the people at? So I think it's just been a very, like the socialization thing has been very, very weird, but it also, once we were able to meet up, I think I got way more comfortable because I'm like, okay, this is real. Like I'm actually around like real people, humans, like this is going to be fine. But at first I was very nervous about how I was going to make friends. Especially like the YouTube thing. I didn't want people to find my YouTube first. And not that I'm like out here blowing up, whatever, like not at all. But I just didn't want, you know what I mean? Because you do look for people on Instagram first and stuff. So I was like, I don't want them to just like see my YouTube first and then make that judgment on like, oh, she, you know, like I don't know. I just don't know what people think. So
Okay, I get it.
I
I
was
get
very
it.
protective over that. I was like, I don't want that to be people's first impression of me. I want to meet them first and then like have them know about what I am, I mean, who I am and what I do and things like that, you know?
And then speaking of YouTube, how are you guys doing? Balancing YouTube and law school. Is it a nightmare? Is it like, oh, I can do it now, but I know in the future I'm not going to be doing this as much as I was doing it over the summer? How's that looking like?
It's fun to me. It's very fun. Like I love making videos. I love editing and all of that, but it's so sad because school has made me almost like begin to resent the process a little bit because normally like over the summer, you know, I had all this time to make videos, edit in the pace that I wanted to edit at. And now school, I have to like prioritize, you know, and I'm like, okay, I tell people that I have a posting schedule, but now I don't know if I can really make those deadlines every single time, you know? And now it's like, then you start to kind of second guess yourself because you're like, you can't meet your YouTube deadlines, you know? You are trying to like do your school deadlines. All of these things are just like starting to pile up. And I don't want to like ever feel like I'm just stretching myself so thin that now I can only give 50% to every single thing I want to do. So that's been the challenge of figuring out like, how do I bring everything down, like how do I just like reduce the amount of things that I'm trying to accomplish right now so that I can actually give full effort to everything.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that. I mean, that's why I was so hesitant to put out a posting schedule because I knew once school started, it would be so hard to keep up with. And I really love looking at YouTube as like an outlet, a hobby, a community, and I don't want it to feel like work at all. Like, oh, like on top of all my to-do list for school, I also have to post a YouTube video. Not at all. So like I think it really is hard to find the balance um of like balancing your hobbies with school because you have to make time for both or else you will burn out. But I love the quote, like true balance is learning how to cope with moments of imbalance. And that's what I'm living by these days because law school will definitely test that for sure.
Yeah, I think for me it helps that I've been doing YouTube in like at the same time as working a job for a couple years at this point. So I very much kind of have like defined like times, like Saturday mornings, no matter what, are always my like, that's my video editing time. And so having those like defined like parts of my life have helped a lot. So like I only expect myself to have to work on YouTube things, you know, Saturday morning when I'm editing, and then probably some other whenever I've decided to film. So it helps to like kind of draw specific boundary lines of like, this is when I'm getting this stuff done, and then keep the rest of it balanced and separate.
If there's any advice that you could give I know you haven't been in law school that long, but is there anything where you're like, dang, I wish I would have done this?
Just to pace yourself. Like in the beginning, I was just like, I'm gonna have a whole week's worth of work done like the week before, and that's just not a smart idea, because like one time I was called in class and I literally forgot everything, and it just really sucked. And honestly, I feel like you kind of burn out quicker when you try to get too much done when you don't necessarily have to.
I think mine is that things take way longer than you expect them to. Like in undergrad, like I would have like 75 pages of reading for a class in a night, and I could do that in like an hour or so. And like 75 pages of like reading is very different from like 20 pages that are just all cases. Like the difference in the way that you have to read that stuff like takes so much longer. And so I ended up needing to block out more time for shorter readings than I did in undergrad.
I definitely agree with that. That's probably the first thing I noticed was like when I, like you were saying, was trying to read ahead, that I thought that by being able to read ahead, I could kind of beat the fact that like it was taking me longer to read cases and these other readings. But both of those things just don't like happen. Like you're just going to have to allot the time that you need to have to make sure you read the cases and understand the things and not rush through it. So just again, like I just want to reiterate that, and like I hope people know like it's going to take so much longer. Like this information is different. It's different than anything you've ever read before for any other class. Like this isn't just an article for your political science class. Like it's real stuff and you have to understand it. My other thing is that I don't know if like there are some people who are very like close with their family, you know, their friends. Like I don't know if people are in relationships. I'm personally still single, but I am in a relationship with my family and we talk almost every single day. And it was, I think the biggest thing you have to do is learn how to tell people no and like prioritize your time, because your time is like almost like your money. Like if you might not be making any money right now, but you're certainly spending a lot of money to go to this school unless you are blessed and highly favored with a nice scholarship. But if you're not like me, you need to like pretend like this is money that you're like every minute, every hour, every day is like just money that you're spending to go to this school. And maybe some people's feelings will be hurt by you saying, no, I can't do this, or no, I'm sorry, I can't talk for this long, or even texting becomes a hassle now. Like I find myself, you know, having conversations and then just completely like, it'll be like 3 days past and I forgot that wasn't even able to respond to somebody. It was very difficult for me to like deal with that at first, because I was like, I don't want people to feel like I'm thinking I'm, you know, oh, I'm in law school, like I can't, you know, I can't talk to you, I can't spend any time, because I'll tell you, like my family will make me feel that way sometimes, and I'm like, look, you know, I love you all, I want to, you know, talk to you all, but I can't right now, I just simply cannot. So I think being able to be like, okay, I will catch up with you on the weekends, like we will FaceTime for as long as you want, chat, whatever. Just being able to balance, that's the balance I was talking about before when I said my word was unbalanced. Like I just need to know how to balance that social aspect and my school and YouTube and everything, you know.
Just to add on to you, Bex, I think I think that it's very important to realize like where you are at this moment in life. Like not everyone is where you are, right? So everyone has their different paths, different levels, and I think with law school, I hate to say it, but it really helps you see who people's characters are in your life. And I mean, like, people had to get cut off. And not like in a disrespectful way. Honestly, it's kind of disrespectful, but it was for like what was best for me. Because I'm like, you over here getting sad upset because I can't hang out with you on a Saturday night when I told you I have to study. Like, this is my future, this is my career. And I think it's important to like be okay with cutting people off, or be okay with knowing like, okay, this person might not bang with me, but you know, if they're my real friend, or if we have a real relationship, they will come back in the future and be like, I understand, I get it. And I think that's the hardest part to learn, because you're so stressed, you know, you're overwhelmed, you're just like, why are they not understanding? But it's like, it's not up for them to understand. Like, this is about you, right? So just figure it out what works for you. I think it's important to know yourself.
I would just say, like, I don't know. I don't think I thought I would have to schedule every single hour of my day, but like I literally have to schedule when I wash my hair, when I eat, when I get up and go for a walk. I need to schedule like what time I go to sleep. Like my entire day is full with something, and I didn't think I would have to do that. I thought like, okay, I'll have like 2 hours a day to do nothing in my bed. No, I even have to schedule that. Like if I want to take a nap, that needs to be on my calendar. So I would just say be prepared for that because that's different. Even for me, like coming from like a work background, it's just still different.
I remember going into law school, I was like, I really wish someone would tell me what the secret formula to studying is, like whether I should outline at a certain time, like whether I should be briefing on my cases. And then all my answers were always like, oh, do what works best for you. And I was like, and I like hated that. I was like, I don't know what works best for me. Like, I want to know what worked for you, right? And then now I'm like, you know what? Like, I'm going to do what works best for me. Because you hear things like outlines, like, should I outline, should I not outline? Should I do briefs? Should I use supplements? And it's like, it really is just figure out what works best for you. And I hated getting that advice, and then now I'm giving it, and I'm like it just is.
While your time is at a premium, yes, you have to schedule things out. But for me, it was knowing that if I have a block of time scheduled to read this thing and my mind is just not there because I haven't, I'm off, there's something I need to finish from work, or I want to talk to this person, being flexible. Like, because if you sit there and you force yourself to study in that time frame, you're not going to retain it. Whereas you say, okay, I have this 2 hours on Saturday, I'm going to take this 2 hours now and I'm going to dedicate that 2 hours on Saturday. Still, your time is still at a premium. You still have to keep those blocks really tight and consistent, but make sure you are your best self during those blocks. Because if you're not, you're just going to be wasting time looking at the pages, wasting valuable time there. Also, make sure you have people in your life at your school that have taken your specific professor, and that's who you're asking for advice about your classes on. Because yeah, everybody took these classes, but you're taking your professor. So that's my 2 cents.
All right, bye guys.
Bye,
Bye, everyone. Have a good week.